Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, members of the school board, for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here tonight to speak to you about teacher assessment in the classroom. A common practice in faculty meetings is to make a list of grades available to teachers and ask them to come up with an average representative of their overall performance. After a given amount of time, teachers collaborate with one another, and typically I ask them to report back their grades, and the grades typically range anywhere from an A to an F. What is the reason behind this? Why is the range of grades different for the same student? The ultimate question that must be asked is, what does a grade reflect? Should it reflect hard work and diligence in the classroom, or should it reflect what students have performed on formative assessments? Grading and assessing in the classroom is incredibly difficult to do. Not only do assessments have to be created that accurately test what students know, they have to be graded in a fashion that will ultimately reflect knowledge. I want to introduce a new grading philosophy that I hope will become standard in our school district. It's called assessment for learning. Not assessment for grading or assessment of learning, it's assessment for learning. Consider the following example. High school football teams put an incredible amount of preparation time in getting ready for games on Friday nights. Successful teams and coaches know how to prepare effectively and efficiently. The best teams have coaches that can assess players' progress and thus design drills that will ultimately make them better at these skills. In AFL, these practice drills are analogous to the homework and practice quizzes that we conduct as teachers. It is just that, practice. Does a player get penalized on a Friday night for a mistake that they made on a Monday or Tuesday in practice? No, of course not. Should a grade reflect mistakes that a student made on a quiz or a practice homework assignment? No, obviously not. In assessment for learning, a culture must be created where students are willing to practice without fear of losing points or potentially a letter grade. If the end result is ultimately student learning and mastery of a given topic, then what's the problem? Is that not the purpose of our teaching? Ideally, an AFL environment will allow students to identify how he or she learns best. For the teacher, constant feedback on student performance will allow for students to better understand the skills that they need to work on. Teachers need to ultimately understand the difference also between scoring and grading. A teacher should not feel the overwhelming urge to grade everything that is completed in class. A teacher should view grading more like detective work. Teachers should develop a body of evidence rather than grading or scoring to provide documentation of student knowledge. Take the following example of a math class. A student receives a C or D in the class because he or she does not do their homework. Although he, quote, aced all of the tests or the summative assessments, his grade reflects that he did not do homework. Poor effort. If homework is practiced and the student received A's on the test, then the question must be asked, does this student actually need to do homework? By now you probably are asking what this means for our school district. I'm hoping that after this talk tonight, I'm asking you to consider establishing a district-wide committee representative of all schools to investigate the possible positive impacts of AFL on our school district. I strongly feel that with AFL principals in all grade levels, ultimately this will allow for students to take control of their own learning. They will know what they know and know what they need to know to be successful. This will provide not only flexibility, but also consistency in the grading practice of our teachers. As a district, this will mean open professional development opportunities for each other, growth, and continual improvement. As a principal, I need more consistent grading practice from all my teachers. I completely understand that this will be a drastic change in philosophy for many teachers, and I do not expect a change overnight. I am, however, asking for your support in making assessment for learning a priority in our division. I'll be glad to stay after and answer any questions you may have. I thank you for your time, and good night.